Hey guys, welcome to a fresh video here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. In this video, this will be your ultimate guide to the contract status of everyone going into 2025. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is go through every single one of them, have a look at what next year could look like, give a bit of a status update as to where they're at right now, and maybe predict what a deal looks like, a 1 year deal, a 2 year deal, a 3+ year deal. So we'll see what happens. Now, don't forget, this video is sponsored by Big Betting Australia. That's bedding, not betting. So until the 2024 draft, you can get 15% off every single order you make when you use the code BLUEABROAD at the checkout. That also includes free shipping, and also you don't need to have a minimum spend. So get onto the website, link is in the description below, and make the most of the deal because it runs out in a few weeks. So Adam Cerra, born on the 7th of October 1999. He's 25 years old. He's in the sweet spot. He played 13 games in 2024. It was I would say one of his most disappointing years of his career, and that was cruelled by injury, hamstring concerns. We know that he is going to Qatar to have a look at it and fix it. He had played 116 games prior to 2024. I still think he is part of what the best midfield looks like. I still think he is a player who I believe will turn into one of our top liners if he isn't already. I do think we missed him at stoppages, the best version of him. You know, when he did play, he seemed to be pretty interrupted. You know, what does it look like next year? There have already been talks that he might extend before the end of 2025, but I look at his value right now, it probably can only go up from here with him being fit, healthy, and available. Let's just say we get the best of Adam Cerra in 2025 and he plays, 20 plus games in 2025. I believe that he could attract at his best a 3+ year extension. So I'm going to predict that should he be fit and healthy, which I'm going to back him in to do so, given the disappointment of 2024, I think he will sign a 3 year extension, which will take him to the end of 2028. Next is Adam Saad. Saadi, born on the 23rd of July 1994. He is 30 years of age. He is hitting the peak of his career right now. They say that 29 to 31 is when your body and your mind start meeting. He also had a relatively interrupted year, but he still managed to play 18 games. He started the season, did the hamstring, missed a good chunk of the year, but he was able to come back and perform, and he's been a consistent contributor for a number of years now after coming across from the Essendon Football Club. Did a video on that about 2 weeks ago, so if you haven't checked that out, make sure you go and check that out. Ultra reliable. It's interesting, once a player turns 30, what does that do to their value when it comes to contracts? I still think Saad's in our best 10 players, in our best handful of players. All-Australian level player only a few seasons ago. I would only assume he's going to continue to be consistent. I would love to see him in a bit more of an attacking role moving forward. I think that is something that we can still unlock. Or maybe they still see him as just a lockdown defender when it comes to those dangerous small forwards. I think of the Charlie Camerons and the Papleys and those types. So Saadi, I reckon this one is a 2 year extension. Yeah, I reckon this is a 2 year contract with maybe a trigger for a third. I feel like, like I said, once you get to 30, I think there is an industry-wide, not fear, but I think it makes sense to not do too many of these deals more than a 1 year extension. So I'll predict that he signs an extension that keeps him to the club until the end of 2027, unless he signs for a little bit longer, takes a little bit less. I would love him to hang around and finish his career at Carlton, and I'd like to think that he would. I think this would be the end of his moving around, but I'm going to predict a 2 year extension for Saadi. Next up is Alex Cincotta, born on the 17th of December 1996. That'll make him 27 right now. That'll also make him 28 going into the 2025 season. He played 16 games this year. He played many more games than I thought he would. He earned his spot back in the side. Well, firstly, he earned his spot in the side in 2023 when we lost Zach Williams to injury, and we picked him up, and he just finds a way. He just finds a way to contribute. I like what he provides to the group. I like the mentality that he brings to the game. It seems to be a challenge for him more than most to get into the side once the season begins and everyone's healthy. But, half the battle is just being available. And that's something he has been. Whether he's sore or whatever, he performs a role, no matter what that role is. I think you can't win a premiership without a guy like Alex Cincotta and his mentality on the list. So I value him pretty highly. Having said that, what does the best of Alex Cincotta look like in 2025? I look at this one as probably a 1-year deal, 2 years max. I mean, best case scenario, he truly breaks out, performs his role at an elite level, and really elevates his game to a point where you just can't not play him. So I do think I'm going to predict he'll sign another 1-year extension, maybe again with a trigger for games for a second year. And I back him I reckon he can still play 12 plus games in 2025. And that's going to be tough if everyone's healthy, because I think there are a number of players that are going to be coming back into this team that if they're healthy, it's hard to not pick them. So I'll predict a 1-year deal for Alex. Next is Billy Wilson, young fella. He was drafted with pick 34 in the 2023 national draft. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him play at all. There seems to be, good things coming out of conversations about him for those that watch him, especially those who have been to training and seen what he can do. I would like to see if he's able to break into the side. I think that's going to be challenging, but we're kind of going to need to see something over the next couple of years to know whether or not he will be continuing with the club. I still think there's time. He's still quite young. He's born on the 16th of June, 2005. So he's still got some time, I think a couple of years left. But the fact that he's out of contract, I reckon they'd give him a 1-year extension, maybe 1 to 2 years. I think that's where it sits. I think he still will need to perform strongly in the VFL. I think he'll need to show some growth in, his body and, his strength more than anything. And the talk about him is that he's got the pace. He's got the speed that we need to kill. So let's see how that one plays out. Next is Brodie Kemp, born on the 1st of May, 2001. So he will be 24 next season once his birthday hits. Right now he's 23. He played 21 games in 2024. He's obviously the 17th pick in the 2019 draft. Really interesting end to the 2024 campaign, more so in the off-season, given there was a bit of a play made by Steve Silvani and St Kilda to potentially trade for him. So he's out of contract in 2025. He's had 2 seasons now where I think he's played the majority of the season after having a lot of promise. It's a big year for him. It's a contract year, and I think for the most part, most players use that as a motivating factor to perform at their very best. I think he's good enough to play well enough next year to earn himself a 2-year contract extension. Maybe 3. 3 would mean he's had a real breakout year and performed and, maybe finished in that top 10 in the best and fairest. My only reservations of that with Brodie is because there's talk about him swinging forward, I don't know what that does for him being settled in the side. So I'm going to predict a 2-year contract extension after a strong 2025. Next up is Cooper Lord. This is an interesting situation because it seems that there has been a real liking to Cooper Lord after what he showed in his few appearances for the club in 2024, to the point where, Jack Carroll's no longer on the list. Matt Kennedy's no longer on the list. It seems to be a bit of a reshuffle, but, he looked comfortable at the level in the back end of the year. So I'm guessing that they like what they see from him. I think this is a guy that can earn himself 1 year, 2 years at the maximum. I don't know what to expect from him, if I'm honest. I think he's good enough to stay on the list. So I'm going to predict a 1 to 2 year extension for Cooper Lord. What do you think? Leave a comment below. Maybe go through every player and and list the players and list your prediction as to what they are offered at the end of 2025 or prior to the end of 2025. Really interested to see where you value some of these players and how you value them. So we'll chat to you in the comments, go from there.